Society looks at an older man living alone, without a wife or a romantic partner, and immediately draws a tragic conclusion. They assume he is broken. They assume he is drowning in bitterness. They assume he is a victim of circumstance, quietly waiting for someone to rescue him from his isolation. But behind closed doors, there is a silent truth that millions of men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s refuse to say out loud. This solitary existence is not a punishment. It is not the result of depression or weakness. It is a highly calculated, deeply conscious choice. And for many of these men, it is the most liberating decision they have ever made. In the realm of psychology, as a man ages, his hierarchy of needs undergoes a massive transformation. The drive to conquer, to compromise, and to build a traditional family unit is replaced by a profound, uncompromising pursuit of psychological clarity. Today, we are going to explore the unvarnished reality of the sovereign man. We will dissect the hidden, life-altering advantages of not having a wife as you get older. We will uncover why walking away from the modern relationship dynamic is not an act of surrender, but the ultimate pinnacle of self-preservation. Let us uncover the truth. Point number 1. The absolute, uncompromising desire for peace and freedom. To understand the profound relief of a single senior man, we must first examine the architecture of a traditional marriage. For decades, a man's life within a marriage is defined by continuous, relentless negotiation. He negotiates his finances. He negotiates his schedule. He negotiates the thermostat, the television, the decor of his own home, and how he spends his weekends. His entire existence is a series of compromises designed to appease his partner and maintain the fragile ecosystem of the household. But when a man reaches his later years and chooses solitude, he discovers the intoxicating magic of the small things. He discovers the luxury of waking up and making a cup of coffee in absolute, unbroken silence. He discovers the joy of going to sleep exactly when he wants to, without the disruption of another person's schedule. He arranges his living space entirely for his own comfort. For the first time in his adult life, his home is no longer a boardroom for negotiations. It is a sanctuary. He is the undisputed king of his own reality. This level of environmental and psychological control generates a baseline of happiness that a stressful marriage can never, ever replicate. Point number 2. The reality of emotional exhaustion and the rejection of drama. We must look at the psychological labor required to sustain a modern relationship. Men in their 50s and 60s are often fundamentally exhausted from the invisible burden of managing someone else's emotions. For years, many of these men lived in a state of hypervigilance. They walked on eggshells to avoid triggering an argument. They spent their mental energy deciphering mixed signals, apologizing to keep the peace, and absorbing the silent daily friction that accompanies cohabitation. This constant emotional regulation is draining. It depletes a man's cognitive bandwidth, leaving him hollowed out. But when an older man decides not to remarry, he reclaims 100% of his emotional bandwidth. He no longer has to justify his mood. He no longer has to apologize for desiring silence. He is entirely free from the unpredictable emotional weather of a partner. He looks at the modern dating scene, the games, the expectations, the dramatic conflicts, and he feels a profound sense of relief that he is no longer a participant. He realizes that avoiding drama is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate expression of emotional intelligence. His peace is his most guarded asset, and he refuses to let anyone track mud into his mind. Point number 3, the massive, undeniable positive impact on physical health. To illustrate this, let us look at a case study we will call Bob. Bob went through a difficult divorce in his late 50s. Society, his friends, and his family expected him to spiral into a deep depression. They expected him to be crushed by the loneliness of an empty house. But a few months after the divorce was finalized, Bob noticed something extraordinary. He wasn't sad. He was relieved. For years, Bob had suffered from chronic tension headaches. They vanished. His blood pressure, which had been dangerously high, naturally stabilized. His chronic insomnia, caused by laying awake next to a partner he was constantly in conflict with, was replaced by deep, restorative, 8-hour sleep cycles. Clinical neurobiology explains exactly why this happens. The concept of allostatic load refers to the physical wear and tear on the body caused by chronic stress. A tense, unfulfilling marriage keeps a man's nervous system in a perpetual state of fight or flight. He is constantly flooded with cortisol. When that toxic relationship is removed, the body finally exits survival mode. The nervous system powers down, muscles relax, inflammation decreases. Bob, like millions of other senior men, realized that his stressful marriage was literally killing him. By choosing to remain single, he didn't just save his sanity. He added a decade to his lifespan. He looks younger, feels stronger, and operates with a vitality he hadn't felt in 20 years. Point number 4, advanced pattern recognition. Wisdom is, fundamentally, the accumulation of recognized patterns. When a man is 20 or 30, every romantic encounter feels entirely unique. He believes his love can overcome any obstacle. He is willing to risk his heart because he has not yet felt the full, devastating weight of betrayal. But a man in his 50s or 60s is a veteran of reality. He has lived through the cycle. He has the empirical data. He knows exactly how relationships begin with intoxicating passion and perfect behavior. And more importantly, he knows exactly how they often end. He has experienced the heartbreak, the financial extraction, and the profound exhaustion of a relationship collapsing. He calculates the cost of trying again. To date, to court, to merge lives, and to potentially fail again requires a massive expenditure of energy. The older man looks at his remaining years, his finite, precious energy, and he makes a strictly logical decision. He refuses to pay the astronomical price of another emotional fracture. He is no longer willing to gamble his health, his assets, and his peace of mind on the roulette wheel of modern romance. He protects his core because he knows he does not have the time or the strength to rebuild his life from scratch one more time. Point number 5, the complete end of the need for external validation. In youth, a man's ego is intensely tied to external metrics. Society conditions men to believe that their value is determined by their ability to impress women, secure a wife, and play the role of the energetic, successful provider. A young man seeks relationships because having a partner acts as a mirror, reflecting back an image of himself that makes him feel worthy. But as a man matures, he undergoes the profound psychological process of individuation. He internalizes his self-worth. He has looked in the mirror for 60 years. He knows his flaws, he knows his strengths, and he has already proven his competence to the world. He no longer cares about the opinions of others. Because he no longer needs validation, he completely rejects the performance of dating. He refuses to play the role of the energetic suitor, sending good morning texts, planning elaborate dates, and auditioning for a role in a woman's life. He just wants to be entirely, unapologetically himself. And since being his unfiltered self is often incompatible with the performative demands of modern relationships, he happily chooses to remain single. His self-respect is generated from within, rendering the applause of a partner completely unnecessary. Point number 6, rejecting and dismantling society's flawed definition of loneliness. There is a persistent cultural myth that says a man without a wife is a flawed, defective, or failing human being. Society weaponizes the word lonely to shame men into re-entering the dating market. But the sovereign senior man sees right through this manipulation. He understands the critical psychological distinction between being alone and feeling lonely. A man can have a rich, fulfilling social ecosystem without being married. He has his loyal friends. He has his children and grandchildren. He has his community, his hobbies, and his intellectual pursuits. He engages with the world strictly on his own terms. When the social interaction is over, he retreats to his fortress. He does not view his empty house as a prison cell. He views it as a sanctuary. He realizes that agreeing to a romantic partnership often means accepting restrictive obligations, forced social interactions with in-laws or friends he doesn't like, and the loss of his autonomy. He refuses to sacrifice his kingdom just to satisfy society's outdated script. He has conquered the fear of being alone, which makes him arguably the most powerful free man on the planet. To the society that judges him, the solitary older man will always remain an enigma. They will continue to pity him, simply because they cannot comprehend his freedom. But the truth is undeniable. The choice to remain single in his later years is a profoundly positive, highly conscious decision. He has not surrendered to life. He has mastered it. He has realized that peace and tranquility are absolute, non-negotiable necessities. He has chosen to live the rest of his life on his own terms, in his own rhythm, without compromise. And in doing so, he has found a happiness that most men spend their entire lives searching for, but rarely ever find. If you are a man who has chosen the path of peace, know that you are not broken. You are the architect of your own freedom. I want to hear from you. Head down to the comments and tell me, what was the exact moment you realized the advantages of living alone far outweighed the stress of a relationship? Your wisdom, your scars, and your truth will help guide the men who are still fighting blindly through the storm. If you found value in this deep dive into male psychology, please hit the like button, subscribe to the Sage Academy channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. Thank you for watching. Until next time, guard your sanctuary and enjoy your peace.